Welcome to the 21st episode of Aldo Meets in conjunction with Hotel Anfield. Peter, Tony, the alpha on the back there. You've been playing paddle tennis with me. First time James played, he was brilliant, well done.
Cheers, Aldo.
And more importantly, the top man. I haven't seen him for ages. He's ignored all my fucking phone calls for the last 5 years, but I love him. And he's here. Didi. That's what he used to say. The German Skaza. How are you, pal?
Thank you, all good, thank you.
Great to see you. I mean that, mate. How's things going? Let us know what you've been up to.
Bit of work. Obviously, I do work for Sky in Germany. Still do the gig in Ireland for RTE. Watching a lot of football and staying out of trouble.
You can never stay out of trouble. You know that's impossible. So everything's going good.
I think leaving Liverpool helped.
And getting away from Carrie.
Yeah. My team tonight.
So what? You're enjoying Ireland as well because you get over there quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah. No.
It's
Ireland's
a great country,
great.
and
yeah,
you know
great.
that. Great people, aren't they?
No. It's the national team is struggling a bit, as you know. But they've got a manager in place now who's at least he plays the right way. I think they've got a chance in the group they've got to finish at least second and get to the playoffs. So all good.
Yeah.
Didi, obviously, what a weekend this is. Liverpool being crowned Premier League champions 20 years on from Istanbul as well. We'll come on to talk about your part in that in a bit. But just in terms of this season, how impressed have you been by what Arne Slot has done? Because, rewind to last August and everyone was saying it was going to be such a difficult transitional period for the club.
Yeah, no, I think it's been absolutely sensational because I've been asked at the start of the season what's going to happen. They didn't bring any players in. Chiesa came, I think, a couple of days before the window shut, and I said if they finish in the top four, I think he's done a very good job. Now to run away with the league and wrap it up with 4, 5, 6 games to go, being 12 or 13 points ahead, it's just outstanding because I don't think that Liverpool squad is 12 or 13 points better than the rest of the Premier League, and the job he's done is exceptional. Didn't bring any players in, so he probably felt he's got to play players in position where they maybe not played before. And if you look at Gravenberch and Curtis Jones, they're like two new players because they hardly featured last season or the season before Slot came. And outstanding performance. And the way he handled it, because he's always kept calm. And also what impressed me probably most about the team is, there are tough spots and sometimes you go behind or you concede an equaliser. They never panicked. And I think this is his nature as well. He's very calm on the sideline, and it's been a joy to watch.
You mentioned Gravenberch there. Are Bayern Munich kicking themselves when they see just how influential he is at Liverpool now?
Well, it's not the first time that the player goes to Munich in the last few years, and he didn't really improve. And I think he even missed out on the World Cup with his move to Munich because he hardly featured. Yeah. The one good thing is I think they got their money back, or maybe got a bit more than what they paid. But what a player he's been. I think to make an argument, he's been the best player, Liverpool's best player this season. It's a very important position because it gives obviously all the forward players the freedom to do what they do best. And he's been very good.
I think. Well, a perfect example. We're talking about last year. And we talk about. You look at how players I've seen, and I'm an old fart, and I've seen some fantastic. Tommy Smith, Souness, all these old. But he done a fantastic. Didi came in, done the job. We talk about Istanbul. I was the perfect example the way we were and things was when he came on the pitch. But when I seen Gravenberch doing that, I thought no chance. And I knew from the age of 16, 17, 18, he was the next best thing. I don't know what happened. He faltered. We've seen that before, and sometimes we're talking about some players now. Who play for Ireland have dipped, but it needed probably his move to Liverpool, someone to believe in, to resurrect him. And he has. He's right up there with our best players. He believes in himself, and you can see why now he was so liked at the age of 16, 17, 18, because now he's a completely and utterly different player.
And Didi, it looks like Frimpong is coming to Liverpool. Obviously, you have got a close eye on German football. What do you make of him? You've been watching him a lot. You think he's going to add much to Liverpool?
Very good. I don't think he's a right back. I think he can play right back in certain games. He's more of a wing back. His biggest strength is his pace going forward. He sets up a lot of goals. He's a decent finisher. He scored quite a few goals from that right hand side. If you play against weak opposition, I think he can play it right back. But then you need to see how they want to play. But I think he's a very good addition. Then you need to see Salah maybe play some games, even though he likes to come from the right hand side. Maybe he can play some games on the right from Pogba. Salah plays through the middle. So it gives you other options, and a very good signing, because he had 2 fantastic seasons at Leverkusen now.
So you reckon he could actually, at a push, someone got injured, he could go and play Salah's role and score quite a few goals? That's interesting.
Well, he won't score as many as
no, of course.
Salah. He probably sets up more than Salah does, even though he gets quite a few assists, Salah. Being right-footed, he likes to go past players, likes to cross it for simple tap-ins for a centre-forward, but obviously you need a centre-forward to tap it in, which we haven't really got at the moment.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a minute, where we still need to strengthen, but the big one that everybody's discussing is obviously Florian Wirtz. So just before we came to discuss you, I overheard you rank him versus Musiala and other talents in German football. You sounded very, very convinced of him. So what do you make of Florian Wirtz?
Well, I think he's the best player we've got, and he's well, obviously he won't be cheap, but I think he's a player who makes other players better. And there was always not my criticism of Musiala. Musiala likes to dribble, he likes to play on his own. But Wirtz is somebody, because if you look at the team now, Frimpong, I think he's valued at 40 million he's coming for. He came to Leverkusen for probably half the money, and part of the reason why all the team is now worth probably a double of what they were worth before is Wirtz, because he brings him into play. He's got a great eye for his teammates. He's got a brilliant touch. He can finish himself, and he always got an eye for the pass. And obviously, one thing is seeing the pass, the other thing is executing. But he does both. And for me, he's in the position. He's probably the best player in Europe at the moment. And he played in a team that finished, well, they were 16th or 17th when Alonso took over. So they ended up winning the league the season after. This year they finished second. And part of the reason, or the biggest reason, is Florian Wirtz. And if he comes to a team which is even better than Leverkusen, I think it could be a perfect match. And I don't think it'll take too long if he does come here, which I think he will, because before the punters love him here.
I've got a point on that, because we talked about it just earlier. You take a very good player, a class player, away from an opponent who is contender for the Champions League in Europe, like Bayern Munich. So they miss out on him, and he won't lose the market value. Even if you're going to sell him in 5 years, he won't lose his market value.
No, absolutely.
It's a great age, isn't it? The perfect age.
Yeah, and don't forget he's had a crucial ligament injury 2 years ago. He came back even better. He's probably one of the few players who came back even stronger after this. And the thing I like, because I spoke to Kara as well, he said, what's he like? And I know he's can be a bit critical, especially when they come from Germany or played in Germany. And I said he's exceptional. I think he's the best player. And the thing why I think he will be a success is that he can look after himself. He's like a street kid.
Okay.
Yeah. So he won't shirk a challenge. He will be looked after by his teammates. I'm pretty sure, because he will be one of the main players next season. But if he needs to, he can look after himself, and he won't be worried. He won't be afraid of any physical presence shown against him.
Because I think you look at the midfield, and we look at it like intensely, as quite rightly we should do. But you look at it and you think the only one who really can probably looks like he can look after himself is McAllister. Even Gravenberch, who's been excellent. He's not the type of one that will grab hold of it by the scruff of the neck and rule it and doggy people. No, he does it an elegant way, whereas sometimes you need a little bit of a scruffy way of sorting things out. Then the elegance comes afterwards, like this man. I keep on coming back to this one, and then obviously you've got Curtis Jones and other ones, within Szoboszlai who can't do it. So that's interesting to know that he's got that in his locker, because I think we need a little bit more of that in the midfield.
Yeah, because he opponents try to intimidate him, because, as you know, technical players, age, and also the technical players, the number 10s as they're called. You think if you get after them, you might intimidate them. and obviously their performance will drop. But with him, it's not the case, because, as I said, there was a game against Leipzig a few weeks ago where one of the centre halves had a go at him, and he started pushing and shoving with him, and he said, next time, he had the ball and he was waiting for him, so he plays with it as well, because he's so good. And as I said, he's not worried about physical presence, because it will be different, because the game is played differently here than it is in Germany. But I don't think he's so good. I don't think it'll take him too long to adapt.
And Didi, just before we move on to actually stop talking about current affairs, a little bit about you and your background, as the last thing really was, where else do you think Liverpool needs to strengthen for next season? I think we all agree on number 9, but anything else? What's your view on Liverpool's weaknesses?
I don't think they have too many weaknesses. Robertson got in for a bit of criticism. I think he was more unfortunate than playing badly, because miscontrolled the ball, got sent off, gave a penalty away. I think he steadied the ship. In Tsimikas, they've got an able deputy. Right back, obviously, you've got Conor Bradley. The only thing with Bradley is that he missed, I think, at least or more than half the games since he came to the first team. So that's one thing which, obviously, they brought Frimpong in and can play there. Yeah. You've got to keep an eye on, because you've got to be able to play 70-80% of the games. Otherwise, you can't be a player, because you play 5-6 games a month. So you need your players fit. Maybe a backup for centre back. Obviously, they were after Huijsen, who's going to Real Madrid now. I don't think you need to do an awful lot. If you've got Frimpong, you've got Wirtz. If you bring a number 9 in, I think it stands them in good stead. I don't think there's too many things, because if you bring too many players in, I think it's also a risk to upset the chemistry of the dressing room. So Frimpong, Wirtz, if they bring a number 9 in, maybe somebody who can play right back and centre back as cover. Happy days.
Well, you talk about number 9s, because it's been the talk all season. Jota had too many injuries. He looks like he's not the same player as he was, obviously. Núñez is just disappointed. That's all. He tries and all, but he's just not become the player we expected, did we? So it's obviously that for me is. I think Núñez will go personally. I've heard nothing, but I think he will go, and for his own good. Don't know what happened with Jota, but it's certainly I look up centre forwards, and I don't watch as many games as you. Who would you think, from what you've seen, would fit the bill? And you just say you've got 100 million, would fit the bill.
Well, for one, I think Núñez will be a very good player for somebody else. Because it's just been going on for too long, as you know, because the fans are on his back, and it's hard for him. The confidence is down, and I think he could be a very good player for somebody else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, you've got Isak at Newcastle, who's probably staying if they get in the Champions League. Liam Delap is another one.
He's done well, man. Yeah.
You've got Ekitike in Frankfurt, who's done ever so well, but he will cost close to 100 million. So I'm not sure whether they want to spend there. And the other thing, I think Slot in that respect is very pragmatic, because he probably thinks they've probably got 2 or 3 on the list. They see they can afford him or want to pay the fee the other club is asking for. But he probably thinks we've got Shota, we've got Luis Diaz who can play there, we've got Gakpo, even though he doesn't want to play there, but he can do a job. And don't forget, they won the league by 10 plus points. Without a centre forward, or without a centre forward who
Good
scored.
point.
So I think he's very pragmatic in that respect, as he was last summer. And he says, well, if it's not affordable, or if the clubs ask for too much money, we've got Wirtz now, we've got Frimpong. They give you another 10, 15, or 20 goals a season. If Salah keeps scoring, then maybe we are okay without a centre forward. Whether you can win the Champions League without one is a different question. So I would go Isak, Ekitike. If you can't get either of them, maybe Slot. I agree with you. I think Núñez will go. If he were to stay, maybe Slot gets a tune out of him. You never know.
Well, on that note, that went very quick. That's the end of the first part of Aldo Meets, and we'll be back very shortly with Didi Hamann.
So they
welcome back to part 2 of Aldo Meets with Didi Hamann and my own muckers here. Right, they'd grown up in Bavaria, which I only know Bavaria for one thing, and it's beer. Fucking lovely beer. You joined Bayern Munich as a teenager. How did you get spotted, and how did it all unfold and your way to Liverpool? Let us all know.
Well, obviously in them days there wasn't that much scouting, but obviously you knew all the kids playing, and I could have gone to Bayern Munich from the age of 10, 11, 12. They asked me to go, but we had a very good team from former Yugoslavia, Turkish players, a good mix, and some very good footballers. And in some seasons when we played indoors, when it was just 5v5, we even beat Bayern Munich at times. And I just enjoyed myself, and I think this is the way it should be. I didn't want to move when I was 10, 11 because it's a long way to go.
Totally agree with you.
I had fun. You've got to take responsibility. And then they came again with when I was 16, because Hermann Gerland, who was a manager in the Bundesliga, he left to take over the under-18s in Munich. So you watched the game when he signed for Bayern Munich. We watched with my club Wacker München. I was 16, played against Bayern Munich. He watched, and obviously he liked what he saw. He called me a few days later, and my mind was made up pretty quick to work on the Bundesliga manager for 2 years in the under-18s, and I joined Bayern Munich.
And then in terms of the move into England, it came off the back of a good World Cup, didn't it? You did well at France '98 with Germany. There's obviously a lot of money at the time. I think, what was it, 5.5 million? I think it was that Newcastle paid for you.
I think it was 4.5, maybe $1 million went missing somewhere.
Who's managing at the time at
Newcastle? For legal reasons, we'll call it 5.5.
No, it wasn't Kenny. Kenny was a manager. It wasn't Kenny.
And what was the thinking about? Did it feel like a gamble? Did you want to test yourself away from Germany?
I actually made the decision. We went to the World Cup in France, and part of the delegation was the president at the time, Dr. Scherer in Munich, and I informed him that I want to leave the club because I've been playing for the first team for 4.5 years, and I just felt that I don't fulfill my potential where I was playing, because the players who came through the academy, was always harder for them. Probably didn't get the recognition. Started playing for Germany, and I just felt I've got so much more to give than what I show. And if it was good enough to get in the national team, then go somewhere else. It's a right age, because if I waited another 1 or 2 years, I was 24 at the time. So I told him I want to go. There was a bit of interest from Spain. Keenest interest was from Newcastle. Obviously, Kenny was a manager. Spoke to them. And during the World Cup, or even before the World Cup, my decision was made that I want to join them. They've been to the FA Cup final season before, lost to Arsenal 3-0. Had some fantastic names. In John Barnes was still there, Stuart Pearce, Shearer, Rob Lee. Nobby Solano came the same or signed the same day. I went. Gary Speed was there, Shea Given in goal. So they had a lot of big names, and I thought, this is a challenge I want. This is a challenge I need. And off we went.
And then you're only there obviously a year before Liverpool come knocking. Gerard Houllier brings you to Anfield for £8 million. How did that come about? Were you aware was that in the pipeline for quite a while? Or?
Not really, no, because I actually got Kenny was a manager after 2 games. We drew the first 2 games, Charlton at home, Chelsea away. Get back to Newcastle, and Kenny sacked the manager who brought me in, and then Gullit came in. We played the first game at home to Liverpool. I have a 50-50 with Kara, ruptured my medial ligament in my knee, and I was out for 8 weeks. There was a game where Owen scored 3 goals, where he scored a hat-trick. And I didn't get back till October, November, and then didn't get straight back in the team because we had David Batty there as well at the time. And then I started playing in January, and I said to the club, obviously this is not what we both expected or wanted. And they said, well, if somebody pays the money, we paid for you in the summer, then obviously you can go. Then I started scoring a few goals in the second half of the season. Obviously then they wouldn't mind a few more quid for me. And after the last game of the season, Gerard Houllier phoned me. And I said, yeah, I'd like to come because I played at Anfield on that season on Boxing Day.
You sent off?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Yeah, cheers, yeah.
What happened?
No, it was a bad tackle on McManaman. I think he nearly broke his ankle. They told me afterwards he was black and blue. I think he had to come off. And then Paddy Berger dived 10 minutes later. I got sent off. We were winning 2-0 at the time. Ended up getting beat 4-2.
So Paddy cheated, didn't got his sense off?
Yeah, I told him. You don't have to tell him. I told him already. And so obviously standing in the tunnel before the game, I thought, to play there every other week must be something else. And then when Gerald phoned me, I said, I'd like to come, obviously, if you agree a fee. And then it took longer because Newcastle wanted more money. It took a bit longer than expected, so I missed a bit of pre-season. But Gerald phoned me every other day. It was absolutely brilliant because obviously the longer it goes on, as you might know, and you start to worry. And I told him I'm not going to come back. So I thought if I have to go back there, it wouldn't be pretty. So training started. Newcastle, I just didn't turn up. And a few days later, fortunately, a fee was agreed.
Who told you not to turn up? Because I knew
myself. I didn't need telling all though. No, apparently they put mercenary on the house and slashed the tires of the car in front. That's why I told I've not been back. The first time I've been back was the season after when we played them. But
you done you a favour, didn't you, indirectly, by doing that to get you away?
Yeah. But no, I had a great year. It's just one of them things. I've been back since, and no hard feelings, hopefully, and
But your debut then at Liverpool after 24 minutes, disaster, injury, and out for a bit. Not exactly how you wanted that to start, I guess. But then you came back, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it wasn't the best start. It was probably part of the reason because I missed some pre-season, and I always needed 4 or 5 weeks pre-season because I didn't really like to train during the season. True, yeah. So I did the work before the season, which is the base of what's happening throughout the season. Yeah, it took me ruptured my ligaments at Hillsborough. Needed 8-9 weeks to get back. It wasn't really right, so it probably took me 3 or 4 months because I was half okay. And in a physical condition where I thought I can help the team. It's obviously, as you say, it's not if they pay a lot of money, you want to show what he can do. Yeah. But sometimes you just have to bide your time and be patient, which is not easy. But, fortunately, at some stage, things clicked. But
despite that, I mean, you seem to have embraced living in Liverpool really quickly. Fitted in the you love the city. Fitted in the dressing room. So how was the welcome to Liverpool for you?
No, it was. It couldn't have been any better. Obviously, I liked the year in Newcastle, and I spoke a bit of English. And obviously, quite a few young lads in the team. And Kara got on from day one. I got on well with him. And you showed me around town a few times, and and just getting to know people and feeling part of it.
Show me around. That's very diplomatic. Yeah. We won't go into any detail.
Yeah. Just museums and art galleries.
Was he the one that called you Kaiser, wasn't it? Was it Kara that come up with the nickname?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Now he showed me around Bootle, and and you just from day one, really, I felt part of the group. I felt part of the city. And if you've got a few contacts, if you make friends, then obviously it makes things easy. And Kara was a big help.
Yeah. And then Julia to Rafa. How did you find playing for Julia, and what changed when Rafa came in?
Well, obviously Gerard, I think he took the team as far as he could, and then he had his heart issues. It took him a long time to get back, and he just showed what a battler he was, because people thought he's not going to come back, but he did come back after 7-8 months. I think it was a game against Roma, and then it was just a time where the club has to make a decision if you want to improve, or maybe we just need something new, something fresh. And I think it was the right time, because there was talk about the season before. And then when Rafa came in, I knew pretty quickly. We went to America in pre-season, worked a lot on tactical stuff, and the players didn't like it. But I said to the lads, I was fortunate to work with Trapattoni for 3 years, and he's got a similar approach. And end of the day, it's about making players better, making the team better, because it gives us a better chance to win games and win trophies. And obviously, nobody could expect what's going to happen in the first season, but I saw pretty quick that Rafa is different class.
What was the first sort of inclination you thought, like, because we were struggling big time. We played Olympiacos, and I think at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, we were 80-1. I think Karen and his dad had a few bob on it, by the way. We were 80-1 to lift the European Cup. That's how far behind we were. But then we played them, and afterwards we played some big game. What was the defining moment where you thought we've actually got a chance of winning this competition?
Well, obviously we were probably 10-1 to qualify for the knockout stages because we had to beat Olympiacos by 2 goals. We were 1-0 down in half time, and then. Well, the first round is Leverkusen. They were the team that knocked us out 3 years before.
Yeah.
I think probably after Juventus. In the last 4, there's still 4 good teams in it. You face Chelsea. But then again, we had a very good record in knockout competitions. In cup competitions, we could live with the best. We weren't consistent enough to win the league. But in knockout competition...
We proved that the year before when we done the treble, wasn't it?
Yeah. In one-off games or in 2 games, anything is possible. And I'd say after the Juventus game was the first time where I thought we might have a streak here.
Yeah.
And then on to Istanbul itself. What's going through your head in that opening 45 minutes as AC Milan are tearing us to shreds?
Well, obviously I expected to play, but then again, he can only pick 11. His thought was to bring Harry Kewell in to maybe fight fire with fire and maybe occupy them a bit more. And you sit there 40 seconds, 1-0, and I thought, well, at least we've got 90 minutes to get an equaliser. Second one goes in after 20 odd minutes, and I'm thinking, well, not sure whether that would have happened if I had played. And the third one goes in after 40 minutes, and I'm thinking, fuck, I'm not playing. So I had the roller coaster of emotions. But going in at half time, I felt we missed a great opportunity to write history, because it would have been the 5th time to lift the cup. After 5 times you can keep it, and you work so hard for 10 months. And I just felt that I don't think we threw it away, because I don't think there were 3 goals better, because before they scored the second, we should have had a penalty where Garcia goes past Vanessa, I think it was, he handled the ball. There were 3 goals better, but then obviously with the 3rd goal, they showed all their class, their pass and the finish. It was just sublime. And I walked in and I thought, it wasn't to be.
Didi, we talked a lot about the halftime. What happened in that dressing room? Give us some details.
Well, not an awful lot, because if you're 3-0 down, there's not that much to say. I think Rafa, I spoke to Rafa not long ago, and he said he didn't really believe, he was hoping. I was hoping as well, and he just said we make a change. Obviously, Jimmy Traore was going to come off first. And he said we play 3 at the back. Reason me coming on was to move Stevie a bit further forward, because he was our biggest goal threat. Then obviously Finn complained about a sore groin, so somebody took Jimmy out of the shower, and Finn came off.
He went to shower.
Yeah, he was. That was the last thing I saw.
Jimmy was in the shower.
Yeah. When I left
the, imagine you, Jimmy, get out the shower, get back on the pitch.
I was walking out of the dressing room, and I see Jimmy walking past me naked, going in the shower. And then obviously I warm up, and the first thing I see when they come back out is Jimmy, and obviously there was a reason to it, because Finn complained. But when I warmed up, I thought to myself, the fans were still singing, probably more out of desperation than hope or belief. And it was every minute I was warming up, I thought to myself, you know what happened? They scored 3, why can't we score 3 in the second half? And we played a lot of finals with a team, the UEFA Cup final, the FA Cup final against Arsenal. We probably should have lost most of them or all of them.
Yeah, I agree.
We ended up winning them. Yeah. So I thought to myself, if we get 1, I'm pretty sure we get a second. And once we can make it into a dogfight, into a close game, I think we've got a chance. And obviously that was my hope. Did I believe it's going to happen? No, but the hope was there. And my mindset, I've got to say, was completely different when the game started again. Went to the 50 minutes beforehand when I walked in. And that, the time obviously, I think helped us an awful lot, because it gave us a chance to think what happened and what has to happen in the second half to have a chance.
Do you know what? Since I found out about what happened at half time, long before Didi told me and all that, I've always thought, what would have happened if Steve Finnan wouldn't have said nothing? We wouldn't have won. It's as simple as that. I don't think we would have won. It's just mad the way it all patterned out in the end, you know. And Jimmy's in the shower, Jimmy get out, and then and he's playing it down, to be fair, did he? Because obviously I was there. The influence that he had on he grabbed hold of the midfield by the scruff of the neck. And I always remember when they kick off the second half and watching it, and he's pointing, he's saying, make sure you went on and stamped your authority before he kicked the ball. And straight away Stevie went like that. Stevie was a bit more forward and all that. And the rest was history. I think, you know, it wasn't what Rafa Benitez did, because he made a mistake by doing what he did by Jimmy. It worked out in our favour because it was. But the most instrumental thing that happened at half time, they put this man on. Because they scored 3 goals, they were never going to score in the second half, and he nullified so many of their threats. You know, Cara and Sammy were different class. Stevie was just off the scale, and that to me was the best I've ever seen. And I've been watching Liverpool for 60 years now. That gave me so much enjoyment, because at half time, I'm just going in the area where the press is. And these bastards, there's loads of these who don't like Liverpool press and the English press, and I'm looking and they're gloating and they're laughing and they're even on the fucking brandy at half time. And I'm going, fuck me. So, and it really got to me. So I'm having to do the second half commentary when I wanted to piss off. You know what I mean? And then the rest, after the game, I couldn't find them. I went looking for everyone. I knew where they were, but they were going to get a full biff from me, by the way. But you were absolutely brilliant. I can't thank you enough on behalf of all the people. What you did that night, because it was spectacular, pal.
I only did what I got paid for all that.
And Didi, of course, you score in the penalty shootout that night, and then subsequently find out you took it with a broken foot.
Yeah, the stress fracture in my metatarsal. I came down 4 or 5 minutes before the end of extra time, and I felt a little crack in my foot. I had the injury when I was 18, 19, both feet. But obviously it wasn't as bad as it was then. I felt it. Obviously we used all our subs. You know, coming off wasn't an option, and the extent of the injury, as you said, I only found out a couple of days later. And yeah, well, we got back. Jersey makes it safe in the last minute of extra time. So yeah, and you know, I was probably the oldest player on the pitch when the game finished, so I had to take it.
That save. I remember doing the commentary, and that saved me, Steve. And Shevchenko goes in, you're going, oh, he can't miss. And Didi saved it, but when he took the touch, I think Didi went for the first one. It was just one of those most reactionary saves, whether he meant it or what, you'd never know. But I have to say, it's probably the best save I've ever seen in my life, I think. Yeah. The way it worked out, wasn't it?
It's certainly the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So how special were the celebrations that night then? When did you get to sleep? How many days later?
I think we lasted a couple, yeah. Well, we got back. I think Turkey was 1 or 2 hours ahead. Then with extra time, I think the game finished after midnight. So it probably took us till 2:30, 3 o'clock before we got back to the hotel. We left in the morning at 9, 10 o'clock. So yeah, we had 3 or 4 hours, had an hour's kip. And then we got back, and obviously the parade, and you know, there were up to 1 million people, I think, in the streets. It was absolute mayhem. It was meant to take 2 hours. I think it ended up taking 5 hours. And we had a bit of a ritual going on with John Barnes, Aldo. Every round we went through, we always went to the Sir Thomas. And this is where we all met after the parade.
After the parade, you were over there, because I was in our bar.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to come in our bar, my bar, and they didn't fucking come in my bar. So I knew they were there, so someone invited me over.
The lager was too dear.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and then I've got to say, obviously the parade, the trophy, and obviously to win in a team is nothing better. But then to see so many happy faces, so many happy people is what sticks in your mind, because this is what it's all about. The club is for the fans, and they haven't been to a final for 20 years. They haven't won for 21 years, and to see so many happy people from 6 months old to 90 years old, it was just fantastic, and that's something I'll never forget. And then the other thing, from a personal point of view, going into the Sir Thomas, we went, I think with Stevie and Cara, we went in there. I think a few others joined later, And you go in there, and there's Ian Rush, there's John Barnes, there's Aldo, there's the guys who made the club. The club wouldn't be what it is now, what it was then, if it wasn't for them. And then I think they played You'll Never Walk Alone once, and it was just, and I had to pinch myself. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now, thinking, you know, when I started playing in Muni when I was 5 years old, now I'm standing here with people who dominated European football in the 70s and 80s. And I think this is what makes a club, because even though there's an age gap, 10, 20 years they played before, they make you feel like you're one of theirs. And that was probably the most special moment for me in the Sir Thomas afterwards.
Absolutely brilliant. And then you liked it so much, you did it all over again the next season with the FA Cup. Again, a penalty shootout. You scored your goal again. So just
another
do the same again. Sir Thomas again.
Yeah, I think we were.
Did you swerve Aldo's bar again? Yeah.
No, it was.
I think it was gone by then. It got wrecked after Istanbul.
Sir Thomas was just after the Champions League. Yeah, another game we probably should have lost. I think we were 2-0, 3-1 down. Obviously, Stevie scoring the screamer in injury time, and penalties. We had a new goalkeeper because Pepe Reina came that summer in 2005, and I think the season before he saved 6 or 7 penalties out of 10 in the league in Spain, and he was just the quickest cat I've seen, and I think he saved 2 or 3, and that made it a little bit easier to win the penalty shootout. But they probably would have deserved it.
They played really well, and I think you go back to that game, and again I was doing the commentary, and it's all over, and Stevie again pops up. And that is the best FA Cup goal of all time. I've never seen that. And for what it stood for and how it got it was just fucking ridiculous, wasn't it, to be honest?
And you know, we played a lot of finals. Fortunately, we won most of them. But that was probably the first time I felt a bit sorry for the opposition, because they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong at all, and they were just beat by a wonder strike, which got us into extra time. Then Pepe made an outstanding save onto the post in extra time. And when it went to penalties, I was pretty certain we got to win.
It turned out to be the last touch for Liverpool for you. How hard was it to leave the club and the city?
Is that your last touch for Liverpool?
It was actually, yeah.
Penalty? Yeah. Got something in common there.
Should have told you. Well, I spoke to Rafa. I met Rafa a couple of days after, and he said he wants to bring a winger in, which I didn't know at the time. It was a pennant, and he said, I want to bring a winger in, which means that Stevie plays more in the middle, and he probably won't play the games he played this season. And I had a look. I went home, I had a look. I played 31 games, but to me it felt like I played less, because I probably came on 10 or 12 of these games. And then I had an offer from Bolton at the time. Sometimes you just have to accept that. The other thing, I could have stayed, but then if you do stay and you play 10 games, maybe the punters say, oh my God, you should have left last season. Obviously I didn't have a send-off, I couldn't say goodbye. But to win the FA Cup with the last kick of your Liverpool career, I think it was probably a good time, probably the right time to go. And the time couldn't have been any better, and I think it was a fitting end to it.
I'll tell you a second there. The
Bolton story. How ended you up in
You weren't there too long, were you?
No.
Who was the manager there then? Bolton,
Allardyce. He wasn't too happy. He called me a few names, but I said, chill out, son. I had an offer, and obviously I don't know, they might have had a coach at the time, and Campo was there, and obviously they played a good role in the Premier League. They were mid-table and played in Europe, I think, even 1 or 2 seasons. And you know, Sam he's a character. When he speaks to you, he can really, you know, my dream, not my dream, my preference would have always been Manchester City, because it's great history. And obviously I signed at Bolton. I jump in the car to look at a few houses, and as I get in the car, Robbie Fowler phones me, and he says, would you be keen to join City? I said, yeah, of course. He said, Stuart Pearce gives you a call now. So 5 minutes later, I played with Pearce at Newcastle for a season. So Pearce phones me, says, would you like to join. I said, yeah, here's my agent, my lawyer's number. Phone him. So I phoned the lawyer. I said, just sign it, Bolton. Pearce is going to phone you. Pearce is going to phone you in the next half hour. I never told him that I signed. I said, sort it out. Yeah. He said, how the fuck do I do that? I said, I don't care. And what happened? Then they had to make it a transfer. So Bolton, in the end, they got a transfer fee. And everybody was reasonably happy.
On that note, we'll end part 2, and Stuart Pearce might have some lawyers knocking on his door now. Get into your millions. We'll be back with you shortly.
Didi, in 2010, you joined MK Dons as a player coach, and you were obviously part of the staff at Leicester as well for a period. Was there at that point, were you thinking management? Were you thinking that was a potential long-term option?
Yeah, that was the plan. Obviously, I did my coaching badges, started off in MK Dons, went to Leicester. Obviously, learned a lot of Sven Eriksson was a manager, Sven Goran. He was a brilliant man, and obviously sorely missed. And then I always kept in touch with Rafa, and I think it was either in Leicester or probably when I went to Stockport that I had a lunch with Rafa. And I asked him about, because we had one session a season for some reason at the academy. So we trained in Kirby one day, and we did an exercise for the back four, which I thought was great. So I asked him. He said, I can't remember. Then I got a piece of paper and I put it down. I said, this is what we did. And he says, can't remember. And I went, what do you mean you can't remember? He says, Didi, you've got to remember one thing, he said. It's not about the exercise, it's about the idea. Yeah. So this is when I thought, he's got something in his mind where the team needs to improve, and he goes home and he makes an exercise. I've got a talent, and this is when I thought this is a different league. And obviously Rafa was a top manager in Europe, but I thought if I want to start managing, I've got to. I want to try to be the best I can, and maybe the best is out there. And I just felt when he said that, and he said a couple of other things, this is not for me.
As a German, I don't want to lie, you scoring the last goal at Wembley for Germany at Wembley. Bloody brilliant. Sorry, nobody can hear you, James. But
that's proper history. That is, like you're talking about, the home of football, Wembley. Which it is, because it's where it started, and for someone to do that, and I prefer the old Wembley to the new Wembley personally, because I grew up with it and as a kid and all that. But imagine doing that and that on your bucket list. That's just insane, isn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a personal,
brilliant.
It was brilliant. More important that we beat a big team for the first time, because we hadn't beaten a big team for a while. And I think I came in Scotland. I came third in the Football of the Year poll. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Was that one of your highlights in your Germany career? I mean, you were 2002 World Cup with Ballack, and I mean, there's so many highlights. But which one was your Germany strip highlight?
It's an individual thing. It's a team game, and obviously, yes, it was great to win the game, and it's something for the history books. It didn't change my life, or I wouldn't say it's in my top 10 or 15 achievements. It was great because it was the last game at the old Wembley. But then for Germany, we played the World Cup a couple of years after, where we got to the final, which we lost, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, I think the win, because we came off a very disappointing Euros in 2000, got a lot of stick. So I think it was to change the mood in the country. I think that was more important than the goal.
Didi, looking back over everything you did achieve as a player, what are you most proud of?
When you look back, I played for 14 or 15 years. You probably had, 250 different teammates. I would like to think if any of the 250 comes in now, I'd give all of them a hug and they will give me one.
That's nice.
That's very nice.
And that's probably, you know, the trophies, the success you've got, that comes with it. If you've got good relationships, if you're decent, you know, if you respect your teammates, and you know, obviously it's give and take. But yeah,
The only thing I can say before you go on there, mate, like I've been fortunate to talk, you know, a lot of Didi's ex-mate, and they can't speak highly enough of you. You know, first of all, coming as one of the first Germans, you know, a couple of us before, and you know, what you left in the dressing room, you know, not just on the pitch, in the dressing rooms, we know it's a big thing, isn't it? And they loved you, mate. They loved you, all of them.
Yeah, no, thanks. But obviously, that what makes a team, and you need a team spirit. You need lads who obviously entertain the others at times. Yeah. And now I had a brilliant time, and I've got to say, I play with some fantastic players, and obviously, it makes it in my position makes it a lot easier when you play. Yeah.
You said you played maybe with 250 or more players. If you were picking a five-a-side team, who would you pick? It's a tough question, I know.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper.
Get off, mate. So 5-a-side, so it's small goals. I go Pepe Reina.
Okay.
He was probably the quickest I played with.
On the line now.
Yeah. Wow. I'd go. All the teams are just Liverpool.
All the teams.
I go. Lisa Razou played a couple of seasons in Munich. Lisa Razou will be one of the defenders. Then I've got to put at the back Lothar Matthäus. In the middle I've got Stevie, and up top I've got Stevie and Delano, and the centre forward will be Mike Lowen.
Who?
Mike Lowen.
Mike Lowen.
Well, you got the quiz now, our famous quiz, Aldo's famous quiz. 6 questions. Do you know why it's 6 questions? Because we fucking won it 6 times, mate. So James, it's his fault. He done it. The winner. We win now.
Gregory Vignal got 6 out of 6.
6 out of 6, yeah. Yeah, 2 easy questions off you, so go on.
Yeah, right. Didi, number 1. You signed for Liverpool the summer in '99. Can you name the 2 centre halves that Houllier brought to Anfield the same summer?
Hippie and Honcho.
Correct. Number 2. Another summer signing scored what proved to be the winning goal on your debut against Sheffield Wednesday. Who was it?
Titi Camara.
Correct.
2 out of 2, well done.
You scored your first Liverpool goal in a 3-1 win at Anfield in February 2000. Who was it against?
Leeds.
Correct.
Took a big deflection. But I claimed it.
Still claim it, yeah. When you scored that final goal at the old Wembley, who was the goalkeeper?
Seaman.
Correct.
I won't forget that.
Right.
4 out of 4, mate. Well
Number
done.
5. Only 73 players have ever played more games for Liverpool than you have. 283. Did you play more or less than Sadio Mane?
More.
Correct.
Well
Sadio
done, well
269.
done,
So this is for the clean sweep. Number 6. Who did you score your last Liverpool goal against in February 2005?
Leverkusen.
Correct.
Well done.
See, I just tells you, Germany always wins.
It was very kind to me, James. He was very kind.
That concludes Aldo Meets with Didi and my friends here. Been fantastic to see him and listen to him. Top draw.
Yeah. With a bit of music in the background from the
Oh, I thought he said Munich. I'm thinking, what the fuck's Munich got to do?
Let me turn his hearing aids up. Hold on.
I'm deaf, by the way. We got through it with the music, but there's some really good sounds in the back for them, especially for the Man United fans who are, because I know you're celebrating like we are now, not going down. So you're welcome, everyone. And Great to see you, pal.
Pleasure.
Take care, mate.
Pleasure
Top man.
being here.
See you,
Thank
pal.
you.
Top man.
Cheers, Aldo.